This is Bridget Mwanoga bringing you our news bulletin live from Bishop Navy Media Center in Area 2, Lilongwe. The top stories. Pope Francis' Christmas Obi et Orbi underscores how the Lord's birth shows the Catholic faithful the way to peace. Chizuma's inquiry likely to miss deadline. Lilongwe City Mayor vows to discipline parents who send children to beg in the streets. And elsewhere, Ethiopia signs a peace deal with Tigray rebel forces. We have these and many more. Stay with us. In his traditional Christmas Day message, Pope Francis underscored how Jesus' birth shows us the way to peace in our lives and our world, and encourages us to contemplate the face of the child Jesus and be deeply moved by God's love so that peace may be born in our hearts and shared with all. Offering his Christmas greetings from the central loggia of St. Peter's Basilica, the Pope gave his customary Christmas Day message and Ubi e Obi blessing, where he greeted the thousands of pilgrims gathered in the square on a sunny and mild Sunday. Jacqueline Saidi with a Vatican News report. Before imparting his Ubi et Obi blessing, the Pope gave his Christmas message, underscoring the joy this day brings when we turn our gaze to Bethlehem and the Lord comes to the world in a stable and is laid in a manger for animals, since there was no room at the inn when Mary was to give birth. Recalling from the day's gospel, he said the true light which enlightens everyone was coming into the world. The Pope then encouraged everyone to contemplate the true message of Christmas and rise above the hue and din of this time, when the focus can be more on the festivities and gifts, hardening our hearts rather than focusing on the great event of the Son of God born for us. To follow Jesus means doing away with the burdens that can weigh on us and become obstacles. The Pope went on to say, and they can include greed, pride, thirst for power, hypocrisy, problems of old as they are of today that exclude us from the grace of Christmas and block the entrance to the path of peace. The Pope lamented that a result of this reality is that the icy winds of war still hurt humanity today. Malawians could be requisitioned to wait longer before they come to know what necessitated the arrest of Anti-Corruption Bureau ACB Director General Martha Chizuma a fortnight ago, as reports are getting rife that a team of investigators, which President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera instituted to investigate the matter, failed to meet the deadline. Commission of Inquiry was expected to submit the final report after 14 days from December 11, 2022, and the ultimatum elapsed yesterday. More in this report.
Our sources have confided in us that by Monday, the 26th of December 2022, President Lazarus Chakwera was yet to receive the findings. The Commission's chairperson, retired Justice Twea, could not be reached to comment on the matter. But our sources said neither has the President met Justice Twea, nor has he met members of the Commission. Efforts to speak to the presidential spokesperson, Anthony Gasunda, proved futile as his phone went unanswered after several attempts. In an interview on Monday, good governance expert George Piri said Chakwera's silence on the matter reflects his unwillingness to establish the truth on Chizuma's arrest. Piri said he expects the Commission to submit the report to the plot number 1 occupant as soon as possible.
The deadline for the Commission was last Saturday, but this time what has been reported to him is 1, 2, 3. He should have come out to the public so that he would also inform the public finally when is the report expected to be for public domain.
Other members of the commission include former Ombudsman Enoch Chibwana, former Police Inspector General Lord Stonzi, Senior Chief Tengani, Reverend Els Tembo, Accountant Innocencia Chilombo, and Oxfam Director Lingali Reni Mihowa. Others are Gift Mwakwawa, Maureen Kajingwe, and Kasim Dala Amuli, Monsignor Patrick Tawale, and Frank Kalawamfumbi as Administrative Secretary. Recently, Information Minister Gospel Kazago said findings of the commission will help Chagwera make an informed decision on the arrest. Chizuma was arrested in controversial circumstances on December 6 at his home in Lilongwe at 4 a.m. on charges leveled against her by the then suspended Director of Public Prosecutions, Steve Kayuni. The ACB Director Chizuma was immediately taken to Namitete Police Station and released 5 hours later after a public uproar, and her charges were withdrawn. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, I'm Helbert Katanda.
Still on ACB, the Bureau is hunting for lawyers to help in disposing of the cases they are handling. The lawyers who enter 12 months contracts subject to renewal every year for a maximum of 3 years upon satisfactory performance. The Bureau says it has taken this direction to enhance its legal and prosecutorial services, especially the conduct of cases both within the ACB and in various courts. Priska Mashushu reports.
In a statement dated July 15, 2022, in which the Bureau was giving an update on the case involving businessman Zunef Satar following allegations that he was giving bribes to some public officers in Malawi, ACB said it has received some special funding from the government to ensure that the case and others are handled to the expectations of Malawians. ACB spokesperson Egri Tandala was not available for a comment. But in an interview earlier today, Center for Human Rights and Rehabilitation's Executive Director Michael Kayasa welcomed ACB engagement of private practice lawyers, saying the graft-busting body needs an extra hand to dispose of the many cases it has in court.
What it means is that it will boost the capacity of the ACB, particularly in prosecuting cases. As you know, there's currently a backlog of cases in courts, which are, delaying largely because the ACB does not have adequate capacity to handle all those cases. So bringing in private lawyers, I think, is a step in the right direction.
Some of the corruption cases which the Bureau is pursuing in court involve former Inspector General of Police George Kainja, former Lands Minister Kezi Msukwa, former Principal Secretaries Kennedy Nkoma and Laymek Matimbam. Last month, ACB netted Vice President Cyrus Chilima over allegations that he received money and other gifts from the corruption kingpin Satar to induce multi-billion contracts. Satar is said to have captured the civil service through bribes he would offer to get contracts in return. For Luntha TV, this is Priska Mashushu.
My Community and Responsibility has celebrated Christmas with the elderly over communities surrounding Kawali in Lilongwe. Speaking at the event, which started with a lunch on earlier today, team leader Brian Kimball said that the elderly, just like anyone else, deserve a platform where they can come together and share their experiences. He further said the elderly are the most deserving people, as they are the ones that worked hard enough for the country to be where it is today. We have a report compiled by Jacqueline Saidi.
According to Kimball, Christmas is a season of togetherness, and the main essence of the event was to provide a platform for the elderly to express themselves and the challenges they face in their communities.
We organize this end of the year activity, first of all, as a get-together party. You know, this is the Christmas season where we need to gather together as family and cheer up with the elderly. The most important thing out of it is that we gathered the elderly together. This is a kind of platform that most of the times the old people can't afford. So for us, bringing them together, you saw them very happy, cheerful, because they have been given a platform where they have expressed themselves.
On her part, one of the beneficiaries of My Community, My Responsibility, Margaret Machogelo, said most of the elderly struggle to find food, a place to stay, and even clothes for themselves. As the elderly will struggle with a number of things, ranging from being accused of practicing witchcraft to lack of place for habitat and even food scarcity. For now, we can say those witchcraft association speculations are a bit low, but we are mostly looked down on. We are at a point where we don't know where to go with our problems, but this youth club has helped us a lot. Machokero further called for support from all wishers, including government, for intervention so that they get some support, as most of them are looking after their grandchildren whose parents passed on. On the same event, My Community, My Responsibility awarded some journalists on their outstanding work on reports regarding their activities throughout the year 2022. The journalists include Franco Mwachande, a correspondent reporter for Nations, Catherine Tembo from the Great Dominion, Chimwemwe Tobola from Ziko FM, and Crispin Nwanga of the Voice of Livingstonia. For Luntha Television News, this is Jacqueline Saidi.
You're still watching our 7:30 news bulletin, coming to you live from Bishop Navy Media Center in Area 2, Lilongwe. And today you're with me, Bridget Manoka. But before we proceed, let's take a short break.
Are you passing through Desert Town and you think of finding a place to rest or just to have some nice food? Always keep this name in your mind: Comfort Lodge. Situated in Airfield at Desert Town. Here at Comfort Lodge, we offer comfortable, affordable, and quality accommodation. The place is located at a very quiet environment that gives you a comfortable and peaceful sleep. We also offer local food such as mademba, masambote ndera, chisoso, ndi ndo zina za lokolo zambiri. Talking of entertainment, that's not an issue, as we have a DSTV for your favorite channels. Tight security, electricity and water backups are all in place just for you, dear customers. During this time of COVID-19, we have all measures in place just for your safety. Oh yes, come and taste a different feel of life here at Comfort Lodge in the town. Comfort Lodge. Comfort Lodge, your number one place for affordable and quality accommodation.
Ine ndine Enoch Genas Pale, ndine wachiwiri kwa nduna wa zaumoyo kunoko ku Malawi. Komanso ndine phungu wa nyumba ya malamulo kuchokera kucha ku Salima Northwest Constituency ku Salima. Ndili ndi uthenga wakuwafunira amalawi wonse zabwino pamene tili mu nyengo ino ya Christmas. Komanso pamene tikukonzekera kulowa chaka chatsopano cha 2023. Ndikukufunirani Christmas yopambana, Christmas imene ibweretse madalitso ku moyo wathu. komanso ndikukufunirani chaka chatsopano chopambana chimene chibweretsenso ngakhale kupita chitsogolo pa moyo wathu ndi mapulani osiyanasiyana amene aliyense ali nawo. Ndili ndi uthenga wochepa chabe ngati wachiwiri kwa nduna wa zaumoyo. Tikudziwa kunena kuti madera ambiri tikhala tikusonkhana mochulukitsitsa kwambiri. Tikudziwanso kuti pakati pathu tili ndi matenda aja a kolera amene akhudza boma lonse. Ndimati ndiapempha Amalawi kuti pamene tikupanga zikondwerero zathu nkumasonkhana malo amodzi mochulukitsa, tisonkhane koma mwaukhondo komanso mosamalitsa, kunena kuti pasakhale chiopsezo chakuti pamene tikukondwera wina atengepo matenda akolera nkudwala. Ndikufunani nonse Amalawi zabwino zonse. Ambuye akudalitseni. Zikomo kwambiri.
Welcome back and thank you for sticking around. But if you have just joined us, take a closer look at our top stories. Pope Francis' Christmas Obi et Orbi underscores how the Lord's birth shows the Catholic faithful the way to peace. Chizuma's inquiry likely to miss deadline. Lilongwe City Mayor vows to discipline parents who send children to beg in the streets. And elsewhere, Ethiopia signs a peace deal with Tigray rebel forces. Proceeding with our news, Mayor of Lilongwe City Council, Richard Banda, has vowed to discipline all parents who deliberately send their children to beg in the streets of the city. He says he is aware that there are some parents who have the capacity to raise their children, but they deliberately choose to send them for begging, which he says it must stop forthwith. The mayor was speaking earlier today in Lilongwe during a Christmas luncheon which brought together vulnerable and physically challenged persons. Brendan Mwanza was there and 9 hour reports.
The remarks by His Worship Richard Banda have come at a time the city is experiencing increased number of individuals who beg in the streets and others just outside major shops. He said every parent has a responsibility to look after children by trying all possible means than sending them out to beg, which is harmful to their lives.
There's some other parts that are strong enough, they can even go make some other businesses to feed those kids, but instead to do that, they are taking those kids to stay along the road just a matter of to get something from the people, so which is not a good behavior. So as a city father, we've banned that way for the parents to do that business within the city of Lilongwe. So if you find any parents doing a certain business, our bylaws will enforce our bylaws.
The Christmas luncheon, which was organized by an organization called The Citizen, led by Rodwe Olumbe, basically gave a chance to people with disabilities, including the vulnerable, to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. On his part, Rodwell said the event was organized to get together with these people for them to feel happy during this festive season. Caleb Tole of Global Hope Mobilization also hinted that it is possible to support all vulnerable children if citizens join hands, citing giving them vocational skills to improve their lives. The Christmas luncheon was supported by the real estate firm InnoBuild Private Limited, 5 Stars Travel, among others. It was further spiced up by performances such as poems and gospel songs by Favored Martha and Lilongwe CCP Youth Choir. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, I am Bernard Mwanza.
Minister of Energy Ibrahim Madola has disclosed the government's plans to increase the total electricity access rate over 50% by 2030 from the current 12%. Madola stated that President Dr. Lazarus Makikathe Chakwera's administration is determined to ensure that energy access is affordable, reliable, sustainable, efficient and modern for every person in the country by 2030, in line with aspirations of the SDG number 7. He made remarks in Lilongwe on Friday at the launch of the Malawi Electricity Access Project, a World Bank-funded project that is being implemented by Electricity Supply Corporation of Malawi ESCOM and the Ministry of Energy. Watibaso Mzungu compiled a report read in our studios by King Major Kamendo.
ESCOM is implementing the first component, which targets connecting 180,000 customers on grid, while the Ministry of Energy is implementing the second component, which targets connecting off-grid customers. Matola said the launch of ESCOM component will result in massive rollout grid connections to households, public facilities, industries, and low-income households through use of lady bonds. He said it is the vision of President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera and his government to transform the lives of every Malawian by ensuring access to basic utilities and infrastructure, roads, water, electricity, education, among others. MEP will therefore contribute towards achieving the goals of the National Energy Policy, Sustainable Development Goal number 7 and the vision of the government of Malawi. The project addresses some of the deliverables in the government's connections guidelines, such as incentivizing the low-income households through soft loans facility for connection and provision of red bonds for low-cost installations. The minister expressed sadness that for so long, Malawians have been deprived of having access to electricity because of poor decisions the previous administrations made. Matola said the collection of application fees by ESCOM without connecting them to the grid as one of the violations of the citizens' right to the service. He assured that the current government would not leave anyone behind in energy access.
King Major Gamindo reading that report compiled by Watibaso Mzungu. In other news, government of Ethiopia and Tigray's labor forces have agreed to sign a monitoring body called November Peace Deal to end a brutal war that has been there for the past 2 years. The deal has been signed today in Tigray by the Ethiopian Chief of Staff Armed Forces, Bethany Yula, and Commander-in-Chief of Tigray's rebel forces, General Takesi Waradi. Among the terms of the agreement was a provision to establish a monitoring and compliance mechanism so that both sides could be confident as the truth was honored and an evaluation addressed. With that, we have come to the end of our news bulletin today, but before we go, let's take another look at our top stories. Pope Francis' Christmas Obi et Orbi underscores how the Lord's birth shows the Catholic faithful the way to peace. Chizuma's inquiry likely to miss deadline. Lilongwe City Mayor vows to discipline parents who send children to beg in the streets. And elsewhere, Ethiopia signs a peace deal with Tigray rebel forces. That's all I have for you. Thank you for choosing Luntha Television. A quick reminder to always remember wash our hands with soap frequently to avoid the deadly cholera, and also go get the vaccination. This has been Bridget Maroka. Stay blessed and stay safe.